Okay, last time we're still learning about the dinim of tsar balei chayim, cruelty to animals. So we're talking about owning pets and not having pets. But anyway, so as far as the din of tsar balei chayim goes, the same din, by the way, applies to people. Because the din of tsar balei chayim, bringing pain or torture onto people, is also forbidden. There are certain opinions that say it doesn't apply to people, but majority of opinions, that's the halacha, that it even applies to a person, which means what happens halachically if you see a person struggling with a load. So just like there's a din by an animal, you have to unload and help him load. So there's a halacha also, tsar balei chayim, you have an obligation to help the person with his load, that he should be able to manage it. Otherwise it's forbidden. Now, halachically, you're allowed to hunt for parnasa. Let's say you're a skin dealer, the hide dealer, whatever. So you're allowed to kill animals for parnasa. But stam to kill animals for sport is a question in halacha if that's called tsar balei chayim or not. So there are opinions in halacha that say killing an animal is not tsar balei chayim. Torturing a living animal is tsar balei chayim. They bring a proof from a Gemara that seems to imply that killing an animal is not called torturing, you're just killing it, and torture is torture. But nevertheless, many poskim bring down just to hunt for sport, to know, you really shouldn't be doing, because there's no benefit from, unless if you're going to be using the dead animal, the dead bird, or whatever. Just time to go to the forest and shoot birds for no reason. I mean, just because you enjoy it, really is not something that should be done. First, you're not allowed to tie the bird's feet just to make them suffer. You're not allowed to, this doesn't play so much today. You can't take a bird to lay on a nest if it's not his type of bird. So you can't take a pigeon to sit on a nest of a bluebird, whatever, it's a different type of min. It's also because tsar balei chayim, they're getting tortured by that.
What if they have their own eggs and they're just adding to the eggs?
No, if they have their own eggs and they're there anyway, as long as the animal's not suffering, but they have to be there for their own animals. But then you wouldn't be, if the animal's suffering from adding other eggs, then you wouldn't be allowed to add other eggs. Just the animal's own eggs. Okay, so and about sterilizing the animals. Okay, but there's another interesting din. For instance, you have this, Rashi speaks about it in the beginning of Chumash. There used to be something called, they probably still have it, Keshel Ikron. There was certain herbs that they would make a potent thing out of it, and they would drink it, would make birth control. Or sterilize them, that they can't have any kids. You have this by the two wives of Lemach. Rashi says, even the one that was given that Keshel Ikron still gave birth. Tzila Gamhi Yolda Ben, or whatever. But she also gave birth even though she was drinking this case. But normally, it would actually sterilize the person. So it says in a second, a man is not allowed to drink that Keshel Ikron. But a woman, most poskim say she could drink Keshel Ikron. But that's only, she already has kids, and she can't, it's very painful for her to have kids with them, then she would be allowed to take it. But a male would not be allowed to take it. Okay, that's basically those dinim, we covered most of it. Okay. Next din in Kitzer is a very interesting type of halachos about sick people, doctors, how you heal, what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. A lot of, especially as technology improves, the shilas and halacha become much more complicated. Because there's many more things going on that they never had. So what you need to do is find in the codifiers, so you need to be a person that's two things. Number one, they're very acquainted with the medical field, and they're super learned. Because then you need to know both things together. You can be a big Talmid Chacham, but you don't know what the stomach of an animal is, then you can't decide halachos about the stomach of an animal. So, there need to be very learned people, both in halacha and in medicine, to be able to make halachic rulings of what's allowed, what's not allowed, and more things are coming up. So these shilas keep coming up. What?
Catching these fishing for sports.
Huh?
You catch fish and release it for sport, not silly to catch it to eat them.
It depends, because sometimes when you take the fish out of water, they struggle. You throw them back into the water, and then they come back to life. But for those few seconds, you see that the fish is suffering. So then it might not be allowed. If somebody is, let's say, fishing for gefilte fish, let's say, yeah, so they're fishing, and then a tray fish comes up, so they could put it back in the water. But to hunt for sport is not so simple. I'm not saying you're not allowed to. It's not so simple. What?
It's not big enough. You have to throw it back.
If it's not big enough, you have to put it back. That's because it's paid. That's also part of Chabad Chayim. I know. Why is the law like that? Because they want them to grow more. Now, what? Now, there's a very interesting. Normally, the Gemara says, it's a Gemara, that the person should always daven to Hashem that he shouldn't get sick. Why? Because if he gets sick, now the burden of proof is on the person who got sick. He has to prove that he has merits that he should get healed. Before you get sick, you get daven to Hashem, you shouldn't get sick. But then you're not the defendant anymore. You're just asking Hashem, don't make me sick. But once you're sick, so now you have to bring the proofs, like it says, they tell him, Haveis chuzi potter. Okay, it's a Gemara, they bring it down. Now, there's a very interesting shaila in the Rishonim. They want to bring a proof from a Gemara, and a lot of people refute the proof. What happens if somebody is very, very sick? They're dying. Are we allowed to daven that they should pass away? You see them suffering. Are you allowed to daven that the person should die? So, a lot of these poskim say, no, you can't. Another Rishonim bring a proof from an open Gemara that you are allowed to. The Gemara at the end of Ksubah says, when Rabbi Yehuda Anasi was very sick, the end of his life, so the Gemara in Ksubah goes a whole long Megillah, what happened and what happened before he died, after he died. So over there the Gemara says, all the Chachamim were praying for his healing. But the maidservant in the house, who was hands-on, like they say, watched the way Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was suffering. And she davened, to Hashem, take him away already. He's suffering enough. Take him. Now, you can't actively kill him, that's a given. But she davened that Hashem should take him away. So for there, many Rishonim want to say, bring a proof that you're allowed to daven if somebody's very sick, that he should die. But, so the question is, was the maidservant, it seems she was Jewish. But the question is, does that, because she did it, does that prove that you're allowed to do it? It wasn't a person from the Gemara doing it. So there's a whole discussion, a lot of shuvas written about this.
Wouldn't praying for something you don't...
Okay, so one second. So the ideal thing, what are we davening for?
That God should do what's right.
So, God always does what's right.
That's what I pray for.
No. Now, obviously, Hashem is able to do miracles that even though the person medically is dying, Hashem could make a miracle, the guy should become 100% healthy. So ideally, that's what we should be davening. But I'm saying it's an interesting shaila in halacha. Is a person allowed to pray for somebody who's very sick and suffering? Are they allowed to daven that they should die? So it's a whole discussion in halacha. Now, also, when you daven for somebody who's sick, so the poskim write like this: if you're davening in the presence of the person, let's say, God forbid, in the hospital or the home, whatever, and they're very sick, and you're davening for them, you don't need to mention their name. Like this, we say the name and the mother's name. Where did they learn it out from? When Moshe Rabbeinu davened for Miriam, he said, "Kel no dafa no la, Hashem, please heal her." He didn't say Miriam Bas Yocheved or whatever the name, that was the name, Miriam Bas Yocheved. So you see from there, they bring a clear proof, the Poskim right, that, in fact, the Gemara says, talking to Gemara in Brachos, that you don't have to say the name. But if you're not in their presence, then you need to say their name, and the minig is based on desire. In other places, you use the mother's name. What?
Can I ask you a question going back to the previous discussion? How do you pray for something that you don't actually want or believe in? I mean, it's almost lying to yourself and to God as you're praying for it.
What do you mean?
If you have a loved one who's very ill and they're suffering, praying for a refuah shlema when you know that the refuah shlema will just only keep them suffering.
No. What we're davening for, Hashem should make him healthy without the suffering. Yeah, of course.
That's what Refuah Shlema means.
Refuah Shlema means-
Shalem, I get it.
I'm saying we should daven that Hashem could do a miracle and make him healthy without any suffering. That's what we're davening for. Not that they should stay healthy and suffer. I mean, that's not what anybody. What?
What's the nice about someone wants to pass away?
Most poskim say you can't. Most poskim say you can't. What?
The person himself.
The person himself. He could daven whatever he wants. He could daven whatever he wants. It's not. Now, when you daven for somebody based on the Zayah says you daven with using the mother's name. It says, brought down in Sfarim, why you use mother's name? Number one, because that's definite. You know for sure who the mother is. The father, you hope you know who the father is, but the mother, you know for sure who it is. Another reason is because she gave birth to him, or her. So it's like closer dynamics. But as you mentioned many times, the Rebbe told somebody clearly that when you daven for a goy, which you're allowed to pray for a non-Jew, then you use the father's name.
Why?
The Rebbe didn't say why. I'll tell you the story. Mentioned it many times. One of the President Bushes was sick. I don't remember which one, the first one or the second one. So Rabbi Shem Tov, the guy in the White House in Chabad, went to the Rebbe and asked the bracha for him. Huh?
It had to be the first one.
Why?
It was 91, it was the first one. The second one was in 16.
Okay, so then it's the first one. Okay, whatever. I'm not. So he went over to the Rebbe and told the Rebbe, he's asking for the first name for the president. He told him about his name and the mother's name. So the Rebbe said, there's a video, you could see it. The Rebbe said to him, by a guy, nutzman the tatas name. It wasn't the tatas name. By a guy, you use the father's name. What's the father's name? Which he knew, so he told him. I mean, obviously, they were not Hebrew names, they're Goyish names, but when you daven for a Yid, you use the mother's name. It could be a reason, could be, again, it could be, because we know halachically, the Gemara in Kedushin says, that by us, the religion follows the mother. By Goyim, the religion follows the father. Like the Moshe, 7 nations of Canaan you have to kill, right? So now what happens if the father's from Canaan and the mother's from China? Right? Yeah. So then the question is, does he have a din of a Canaanite or a Chinese? So the Gemara says, we learn out from Psukim, that by a guy it goes by the father. So if the religion follows the father, it's more the essence, then it could be, that's the reason. I don't know.
Talking about
Yes, it says Klein Shchnoch allowed to. Huh? No. I mean, it depends when. You can't wish him a happy holiday on the day of his holiday. If it's a religious holiday. I'm not talking about Mother's Day. Mother's Day, you could say Happy Mother's Day.
You can say Happy Mother's Day.
Is that a Jewish holiday?
Every day is Mother's Day according to Halacha. One of the 10 Commandments. First of all, only Chabad uses the mother's name by Yizkor. Everybody else uses the father's name. Again, because you're asking for the Yizkor L'Kim Nishma, so you're asking for the Neshama, so it's the mother's name. By the way, the whole world, to my knowledge, does not use the mother's name. They all use by Yizkor the father's name. It's the Rebbe's Chiddush that we use the mother's name by Yizkor. I don't know. The father's name. And the Matzevi, right, the father's name.
Why wouldn't you just use both?
You could use both, but people are lazy. Why should he use both names? Okay. Now, like the Gemara says, Chosh Bereisha, if somebody has a headache, you should picture as if there's a sword over his head that's going to kill him, and he needs a lot of schusim. And what are the schusim? Tshuva ma'asim tevim. He says like this. We say this, by the way, in Kaparis. He said, it was a little bit different. The Gemara says, even if there's 999 people coming with negative things about the person, and one finds one schus, Nitzel, he's saved. Because the Pasuk says, Yesh malach melis elcha mini aleph. If there's one malach out of 1,000 that says good, then he's saved. Okay? That's one Gemara. Then there's another Gemara that says, that Pinchas ben Chamis said, if you have a chayil in your house, by the way, this is the source where people go to tzaddikim to ask brachas for whatever. The Gemara says that whoever has a chayil in the house should go to the chacham and you should daven for him. Should daven for him. In other words, you don't daven to the tzaddik. You're asking the tzaddik to intercede on your behalf to get a bracha from Hashem. So let me explain this. Oh, it's time for my Machad Shinas Ramay Samay Mechabay V'Mayim Kim Shavlag Al Teiro Chanar Mekashem Eredot the Baruch Zak Sov Vigechibel Ham Ter Mitzvah Shinamag Adin Archov Eitzaman Tzidkar Yag